Hello everyone, my name is Joe, welcome to the Genius of Joe. And today, we'll be discussing how I improved my posing skills as a portrait photographer. In this video, I'm just going to explain to you how I went from someone that didn't even know how to pose at all to someone who knows just a little bit more to the point where they can create results like this.
I heard man when I chat and chit. I come through like what's good, these wigs get split.
Before we start, I just want to quickly introduce myself. I'm a professional portrait photographer looking to help other portrait photographers not only improve, but to make work that stands out to the rest of the industry and just breaks free of that boring and bland photography that you see online nowadays. So if that seems interesting to you, please subscribe. And once I've gained your trust, top links in the description is my one-to-one monthly portrait photography coaching, where I personally go through your portrait work. I give you feedback that is tailored to you and provide you any advice that I have gained over multiple years of experience, so you can start transforming your portrait photography work now rather than later. So if you're interested, top links in the description again. And if you actually want to improve as a portrait photographer, I would definitely suggest you check that out. So back to the video. Okay, what did I do to help improve my posing skills on my models? Well, first, before we even start discussing posing itself, I want to cover something that is extremely important that you need to focus on before you even look into posing, right? And that is creating a comfortable environment for the model. You don't want to neglect this, as even if your posing abilities are good, if you don't make the model feel comfortable within the situation, within the shoot, the poses are just going to look weird. They're just going to look off and just awkward looking. Even some of the most experienced photographers fail to create a comfortable environment for the model. So when you look at their photos, right, yes, the lighting is great, the compositions are great, the location they're in is great, like everything about it is great, but then you look at the model and their posing and you're just like, this just doesn't look right. It looks so off. Like, why do they look so awkward and like rigid and robotic? What is going on? And it's to the point where it's actually really distracting and it takes you out of the experience and the image, and you can't even focus on everything else around it. Like obviously like the compositions and stuff, and like you can't even appreciate the good parts about the image because you're so focused on the model. Like, why does the model look like that? Like, what the fuck is going on? And if the model does not feel very comfortable within the situation and within the shoot, they're going to find it very hard to look natural and to look authentic when they're doing poses. Especially when the poses are quite like unorthodox or like out there type of poses, that's going to be very difficult. This is especially prominent in like less experienced models because they don't have as much experience in front of a camera as someone more experienced. So they're already kind of like not uncomfortable, but they're still trying to get used to the fact that they're in front of a camera. So to add on that, you're gonna make them feel uncomfortable. Like that is just like another level of disaster, basically. So you might be asking, how do you create that more welcoming and that more comfortable environment for the model? Well, I've actually made a whole video going into detail on what you should do, which I'll put up here that you can watch after this. But in this video, I'm just gonna quickly go over it briefly, just quickly, to save some time. First tip to creating a comfortable environment for your model is make small talk. Stop creating this like overly professional environment and only talking when you want something from them. So like being silent the whole time and go, do this pose, do that for me, go over there. Like, guys, let's actually start treating our models like fellow human beings, because they are fellow human beings. So get to know them. Be interested in them. One thing I learned from reading this book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which you may know that book, is the best listeners are the ones who ask all the questions and just shut up and listen. But the mistake you guys make is shutting up before even asking any questions at all. Generally get to know the model. And when you do this, they're gonna feel special and they're gonna feel appreciated in the situation, which in turn will make them feel comfortable. As who wouldn't want to talk about themselves, right? You actually be surprised how many people are so fixated on themselves and don't think about other people around them. So when you ask questions, when you're actually genuinely interested in them, you just stand out to everyone else. Another way to help create a comfortable environment for the model is by playing some music. Why are you guys shooting in silence? Like, what's that about? Like, for example, with me, every shoot I do, I like to bring out my speaker and play some music. So I just keep the vibes up, and it's just fun. It's just like a fun environment. Obviously, if you're gonna have small talk with them, which you should, you don't want the music to be too loud, because obviously you want to hear each other. It's not a club. So have the volume at a low enough level where you can both still hear the music, but you can hear each other at the same time. Also, back to the small talk part, really, music is a great conversation starter. You know what I mean? You can ask, oh, who's your favorite artist? What's your favorite genre? Like, what are you listening to at the moment? What's your playlist look like? Just getting to know them. Music is also just great at like adding some rhythm within your shoots. And especially if the models are doing something very dynamic or something like frantic in terms of the poses, like they're jumping about or they're just doing something like dance-like, for example, they're gonna find it much more easier to do those poses when there's music, as it just brings them out their shell a bit more and it makes it easier for them to pose. By all means, I'm not claiming that I'm some master at creating a comfortable environment for models, right? But it is quite easy to get over time, and it's even easier if you're quite extroverted and you're quite a more social person. But if you're not, it's just something that you gotta get better at, man. Now that we've discussed how to create a comfortable environment for the models, now we can actually go on to how to actually pose your models. There are many different reasons to pose your models in certain ways, but the one thing that you need to consider when you're posing your models is by creating shape and depth within those poses. So let's reset. To start, the model is just standing straight onto the camera. Do I really have to say why this is bad? Yeah, it creates no shape and it just makes them look awkward as fuck. Next step, what I like to do is have the model facing the camera on an angle. Already, before we've even decided what poses we want to do, this already looks better, as now there's some depth and shape to the pose. You will approach some poses differently when you're doing men or women, so with women, you want to emphasize the curves, but in this case, with men, you want to create sharp angles to emphasize the more masculine look. So I may want them to put their arms behind their back, for example, and flare out their elbows a little bit to create that sharp angle. Or have them cross their shoulders, bring their chest slightly up, bring their shoulders back to adjust their posture, etc. Accessories is a great starting point if you don't know what poses to do first. Or if you're in a location with objects around them, then have them interacting with the location. So in this case, have them leaning on a tree, sitting down somewhere, again, etc. Another thing to keep your eye on is the chin angle. I mean, if you ask any models that I've worked with, they would tell you that I am very meticulous with the chin placement in the photos. This is important as you don't want the chin to be too high or too low, as if it's too high, it kind of looks too exaggerated, right? So if I'm going like this, I just look weird, right? I look like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I looking at? I've got like a sprained neck, you know what I mean? Or if I'm looking too low, like that, I just look, again, just look kind of weird, and I've got really like weird and just look awkward, you know what I mean? Have it just right, so the jawline still looks prominent and it doesn't look awkward at all. I hope you guys found this clear. Again, I am no posing expert, right? But I've improved so much since I first started my portrait photography journey. So I just wanted to teach the things I've learned over those last few years to you guys. One other thing I've learned is that you have to be extremely meticulous when you're posing your models. So even like down to the hand placement and the foot placement, as I've done shoots where everything was great about the photo. The location was great, the lighting was great, the model looked cool, the lens, the bokeh was great, it was creamy and all that shit, right? But this one little thing, like their hand placement just looked off, or their foot placement was just a little bit, looks a little bit off for my liking, and it just distracts you from the photo. Well, at least it distracts me because I notice those little things. Additionally to this, you want to keep in mind what theme or message that you want to convey within your photo. Are you photographing a more shy and introverted model? Well, if that's the case, you may want them to do poses that are quite restrictive and they're more tight and don't really show off a lot of movement. But if they're extroverted, you may want to do the opposite, so have them taking up more space. Anyway guys, that is it for the video. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys found this useful. Again, I'm no posing expert, but I just wanted to teach you guys what I've learned over just like the years of trying to pose and struggling with posing, as posing is a very difficult thing to get good at, right? In my opinion, that's like one of the things that you need to get good at too as a portrait photographer. If you're good at everything else, that's good, but if you're not good at posing, what can you do? Unless you have models that just know how to pose, which I have worked with models that doesn't know how to pose, but most of the time, you're not gonna get a model that just like can freestyle a bunch of poses and just get it right from the start. You have to direct them a bit. If you want more guidance on how to improve your portrait photography, Top links in the description is my one-to-one monthly portrait photography coaching, where I personally go through your portrait work, give you feedback that is personal to you and is tailored to you, so you can start accelerating your portrait photography progress now and save yourself from that trial and error bullshit that I had to go through. Comment down below your thoughts, let me know if you have any posing tips yourself, and like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next time, guys.